Hey guys, back here with Tua for another video. Update pup date time, week 44. If you are new to this channel, I do these style videos every single Sunday on my Bullmastiff Tua as he turns another week older. And I do these videos not only for myself to look back on one day, but to try to create a great log of information for anybody that might be interested in getting a Bullmastiff in the future. There's a lot of good info out there online, but this is kind of a week-by-week breakdown of what I experienced with him. So it would give you guys possibly a good idea of what to expect if you got one at very specific ages. You know, I've been doing this since he was very young. I update on his physical growth, his training, his drooling, what I'm doing to socialize him. If he turns out to be a great dog one day, you'll be able to kind of see what I did to shape and mold that. So go ahead and check out all the videos if you're interested in the breed. Usually I start these videos out with stuff that I've noticed from the week that I feel is just noteworthy or just something that is in my head. I mentioned this in previous videos. It's been a while, but Tua is absolutely in love with eating socks. He always has been. I don't know what the deal is with that. He acts like they're treats essentially to him. He got another sock this week. He just ended up pooping that out. It usually takes just a day or two and he'll pass that. But I would say he's probably eaten, since we've had him, like 10 to 12 socks. And 2 of those he did end up puking like that same day. Like, I think they were both kind of in the middle of the night. And the rest of them he's just pooped out. He's passed them all. Mostly our kids' socks. I want to say he's gotten like one of mine once. But our kids are always pulling their socks off when we're not watching them for whatever reason. Kids just do what they do. And Tua, for whatever reason, just loves socks. I don't know what the deal is. And he'll just instantly swallow them whole. This week, my daughter sat down in the middle of the floor and took one of them off, and Tua was there like in 5 seconds and just swallowed that thing. It's like there's almost nothing we could do. I think that it could be kind of dangerous if it was a bigger sock. So definitely nothing that we, want him to be doing or anything, but also just kind of good information for you guys. If your dog does eat a sock, Tua's eaten 10 to 12 of them, like I said, and he's passed them all just fine. So no reason to panic. But if you would notice that he's not passing that or something, then you probably want to go ahead and call the vet. But just kind of wanted to let you guys know on that. Kind of an interesting and weird thing. Then last week, I asked for a lot of you guys to comment, what your situation was, why you subscribe to the channel, or why do you watch these videos, kind of just out of my own curiosity. And I got lots of comments, so that was really cool to kind of see what the situation was from a lot of you guys that don't comment regularly, like some of you do. And it seemed like the majority of you guys either have younger puppies or plan on getting one soon. So that's really great, because that's kind of why I'm doing these videos, just so you guys know what to expect. But I'd recommend you guys with the younger puppies, or the ones that are planning on getting one, to go back and watch some of my older videos. When I first got Tua and when he was younger, I did a lot of like training videos and stuff. I think those would be really good information for a lot of you with younger puppies. I tried to break it down, pretty simple, just to show you what I do and what I did to train him, especially when he was younger. And it's best to train these dogs when they are young. Even if you just have like 10 minutes a day, just be consistent and try and do it, for 5 or 10 minutes a day. Whatever you have time for. But go back and look at a lot of those older videos I did when I was training him. And there should be a lot of good information in there for you. And kind of on everybody commenting last week, let's go ahead and keep those comments coming. Share tips, ideas, questions, or anything related to Bull Mastiffs down in that comment section. It can really help people out that are interested in the breed. And that comment section can just be another good source of information for people that are interested in the breed, not just my videos. Now I'll go ahead and start talking about the stuff that I do every single week. And we're going to start with height this week. I update that monthly, not weekly. We just got him measured in here. And at 8 months, he was 27.5 inches. 9 months, he was 28 inches. He turned 10 months old on the 30th of last month, and we just got him measured, and he's at 29 inches. I do just do this with a tape measure, so there is going to be a little bit of room for human error here, like I always say. But as you can see, I mean, he's right on like that 29-inch mark is what it looks like to me, which is pretty crazy because that's tall for a Bull Mastiff. I want to say the breed standard for a male is around 27 or 28. And he's right at that 29. I mean, like I said, there's probably a 1/4 inch room for human error where maybe he's a little shorter or a little taller, but he is getting very tall, and it's very noticeable too. Like he's can get his head just on any table or counter pretty much in our house. Pretty crazy. Weight is another thing that I touch on every single week. Normally the first thing. Last week Tua was 120 pounds, and he didn't gain any weight from week to week. This week he's 121 pounds, so he only gained 1 pound. So that weight is definitely coming on slower now, where in the past, he'd do 4 or 5 pounds a week. But only a 1 pound gain this week, and last week he gained nothing. So that's kind of what we want, though. I mean, he's going to continue adding weight until he's, probably 2 or 3 years old. And his dad was a 150-pound dog, so I'm guessing he'll be close to that. But, yeah, I would anticipate, 1 pound weeks, 2 pound weeks, half pound weeks, or nothing. Definitely that weight's going to start coming on slower. So at 10 months old, he is 29 inches at the shoulder and 121 pounds. And he's looking really good. Food is another thing that I touch on every single week. If you're a regular viewer of the channel, you know that I supplement with raw food, raw meats, vegetables, fruit, stuff like that. This week, I fed him chicken breast, blueberries, broccoli, and I mixed in just a raw egg kind of every other day with that as well. Raw food's been going really good with him. He seems to really enjoy it. I would encourage you guys all to look into doing a raw diet with your dogs, at least supplementing it. Starting out slow and just kind of learning on your own, but it just gets these dogs a lot of good nutrients that they wouldn't normally get with their kibble. If you have any questions, you can obviously ask me, but like I always say, I'm no expert on this at all, still learning myself, but it's just a really good thing for these dogs to get them lots new nutrients and stuff that they wouldn't normally get. I also do supplement with doggy dailies and a fish oil. I'll put links down in the description to those, and also go ahead and check out my feeding video that I did a while back if you're interested in learning more about exactly what I do with Tua here as far as raw diet goes and diet in general. Socialization is another thing that I touch on every single week. The last few videos I said how it had been kind of like busier weeks for us, so we weren't able to socialize him as much as I would normally like to or normally would. But I said, how good we have been socializing him since he was a young puppy, so a couple weeks where it's not as great wouldn't be the end of the world or that big of a deal. But this week was a much better week for it. We actually took him to a situation that he hadn't been in for a while. We took him to my daughter's flag football game. The videos don't really do it justice here because when I took these videos, it was still a little slower there. But there was a lot going on there. There was a lot of people. Lots of people brought their dogs as well. Tua was very excited at first when we got there. And that's, completely understandable because it's been a while since we exposed him to a situation like this with this many people, this many dogs, whistles blowing, kids running around, just a lot going on. So he was very excited, maybe even a little bit stressed out, but he did great. He eventually calmed down, after 20 minutes, give or take. But yeah, he did really good. It was good to expose him to a situation like that. And then I did get him on a few walks this week. Didn't really get to interact with any people or dogs on those walks. I've mentioned this in the past also. It seems like when we do come in contact with people or dogs, they kind of stay clear. I guess Tua being a 121-pound dog now, just a little intimidating for people that don't know him and don't realize that he's just a big sweetheart. And he just loves people, but people are definitely getting intimidated by him. I actually had somebody cross the street before we could get near them just to avoid us. So kind of a funny thing there, which is understandable, I guess. Energy is another thing that I touch on every single week. That's kind of unchanged from last week as well. I mentioned how he kind of has 2 time windows every day where has a little bit more energy, and that seems to be for a couple hours in the morning and 2 to 3 hours at night. But during the day, he's very calm, very relaxed, very what I would consider lazy, I guess. Does a lot of sleeping, or just a lot of lounging around if he's not sleeping. But he does have a couple hour window in the morning where he wants to play. He wants to mess with us. He wants to mess with the kids, our other dog, our miniature pinscher. And then same thing at night, you know, right before dinner and right after dinner. He wants to kind of run around and play. Otherwise, he's pretty low energy dog, but like I always say, it's not like he's turning down a chance to go play, go for a walk. I routinely take him for 1 to 2 mile walks. He'll run around the backyard and stuff with us, play fetch, things like that. But when he's done, he's done. He wants to just lay there and sleep. Especially if it's hot out, he gets worn out pretty quickly. But when he does have high energy, though, it can be pretty high. But definitely not an overall high-energy dog by any means, which is kind of a breed standard. And as he ages, I'm sure he'll slow down quite a bit. Like where he's at now is, you know, probably as high as it's going to be. Drooling is another thing I touch on every single week. Pretty much the same as well, although I will say when we had him at the football game, I did notice that, you know, he was foaming out the sides of his mouth, which is typical because it was pretty hot, and he was very excited and maybe a little bit stressed with all that stuff going on. So not too surprising. But other than that, you know, when he's hot and panting, he will drool. But like I always say in these videos, 90% of his drooling is related to just when he's drinking water. And it does create quite the mess, I'm not going to lie. As he, you know, finishes up drinking, that water gets caught in his jowls and stuff, and it comes pouring out. But it hasn't been like a massive deal to me because, like I always say, I'm usually standing right there when he's drinking anyway. So I'm right there ready with a paper towel or a towel to go ahead and clean it up. And when he's hot and panting and that drool's created, you know, he's outside anyway. So no really clean up with that, I guess. But we are definitely like moving his water outside more often so that we don't have to worry about cleanup on the floor. So I would say, you know, that's something that we are kind of going out of our way to prevent that mess and drooling. But not a huge deal to me, but I suppose if you were very, very nitpicky and clean, that might be a deal breaker for you. But yeah, like I keep saying, not for me, not to be too repetitive here, not a deal breaker for me, but I know drooling is a big question that lots of people have when going into getting a bull mastiff. Barking is the last thing that I touch on every single week. Tua is not much of a barker, but I will say like in the last week or two, it has kind of slowly and steadily been increasing. But only around our house and our yard, you know, kind of as like a guarding instinct type thing. If there's unfamiliar people kind of walking by, he might kind of let out a little bark or do some growling. Or if he's in our yard and he's hearing some strange noises, kind of same thing. I think it's just more of like a protecting his territory kind of thing, which, you know, he is a guard dog. That's what bull mastiffs were bred for. One thing kind of different. I mentioned last week how with that barking, I think I'd never even heard him bark like outside of our home. I mentioned how like we can be out on walks and dogs will be barking at him from their yard and he won't bark back or anything like that. But when we went to this football game, he did let out like this little high-pitched yelp. It definitely wasn't a bark. And it was when our daughter ran out onto the field away from him. It was almost like he wanted to be with her and go with her. And obviously I wasn't letting him. So he went to the end of that leash and he seemed to get like, you know, almost stressed out, and he kind of let out a couple little like high-pitched yelp things, but he eventually calmed down. So that was like one of the first times I would say I've heard him bark, or in this case yelp, that wasn't around our house or our yard. So just kind of an interesting thing to note there. Other than that, guys, that's all I have for the week. As usual, if there's anything that you would like me to update you guys on every week, other than the things that I already do, go ahead and let me know, and I will do my best to do that. Otherwise, take care, guys. Thanks for watching.